Thanks everyone for joining our Q3 Young Professionals call. It's this one. There we go. So today we're primarily going to be talking about the innovation competition. This is the first year in a couple years that the innovation competition has been held. So we're really excited to get it up and running again. And we wanted to share more information about what participating in the competition is like, so that we can get all interested participants on the call and at your companies participating in the competition this year. So we'll start by welcoming the entire leadership group. We'll get updates from all of the committee liaisons. And then I will welcome Brad to speak about the 2024 innovation competition coming up for next year. Then we will feature Nick McLoof to talk about his past experience on the innovation competition, participating a couple different times, what that was like, and all the great things that came from the competition. And finally, we will close the call with an update about upcoming YP webinars and events. So just a quick overview. I have a feeling most people on this call are already familiar, but just in case we have some newcomers, ACC stands for Airport Consultants Council and is the global trade association representing private businesses in the airport industry. It's the only association that focuses exclusively on the business interests of these airport-related firms. It keeps members informed of new trends, promotes competition and procurement practices, and it protects the industry's bottom line. This is a very brief overview. ACC does do a lot more than that on a detailed level. Hopefully everybody here is at least a little familiar with ACC at this point. So what specifically is the YP Forum? It is a special young professionals focused group targeting professionals 35 years old and younger. And it's meant to provide opportunities for networking, mentoring, education, and career growth opportunities. So going into the YP leadership, which we are about to wrap up our year of leadership. So this is the last call where you'll see all these individuals in these positions. I'm the chair. I'm Abigail C. We have Molly Statler with TGAL is the vice chair. Brad Mikulecki with Mead and Hunt is our newly formed outreach chair position. Max Vale with HNTV is the webinar coordinator. Blanca Roca Becerra is with Blast Deflectors. She's our other webinar coordinator. Stephen Darengowski with Intervistas is our new brand manager. And we have May Whiteside Williams with CKL as our board liaison. And Nick McLoof with CNS Companies is the past chair and is also the featured speaker for our call today. We also wanted to show all of our great YP liaisons. You'll be hearing most of these people speaking today and giving the updates for their various committees. So I won't go through them all now, but you will hear from most of them. So with that, I'd like to go to the engineering committee. Do we have our liaison on today who can give a quick update for everybody?
Yes, Abigail, I'm here.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Masoon Ayola with Key Engineering, and I'm the YP for the engineering committee. For some updates, we had our last meeting in July 20 of this year, and it was with a guest speaker from the FAA, Harold Honey. We had discussions about the AC 5370-10H and new revisions that will be coming up probably early 2025 or 2024. There are going to be some internal reviews which will come up for the 10J AC that will be anticipated next spring, and then the FAA will open up this AC to the industry for any industrial peer review. We also had a meeting with the FAA, our industry day at Washington, D.C. in August 24. There we had several experts from the FAA in construction specifications, construction safety, airport design, just come to engage with representatives from the engineering committee in the industry to answer a couple of questions and discuss issues that are currently facing the industry um, in these different topics. So there were topics on construction safety, like I mentioned, airfield electrical, and so forth. And we're currently working on sending out those meeting notes to the entire committee because it was a very engaging conversation and it was 3 hours, probably 3 or more hours long, and it's very detailed. Um, from that meeting, we also discussed that there will be no ATW this year because that meeting was meant to kind of take the place of, the past ATW, the technical workshop that ACC usually has, and the intent is for the next ATW to be just as engaging as this small breakout session we have with the FAA was. So moving forward, it's our intent to make sure that everyone understands that the ATW is meant to be an actively engaging session if anyone attends it. We also discussed, how we could engage more young professionals in the industry and how we could kind of bridge that knowledge gap between the veterans in the industry and the YPs to make sure that, there's the gap is closed and there's that pass down of knowledge between the young folks and the veterans in the industry. So the ACC and FA is also looking for any suggestions that we young professionals might have in terms of how they can engage with us. I know that most of us sometimes are just like in the office, we just get assigned tasks, but they want to figure out how we can actively participate in these, reviews of ACs or how they can help either like by providing video tutorials or just ways that we can essentially close that knowledge gap. So if you have any suggestions or comments on this that you would like to volunteer, you can send that to me through an email and we can discuss it. The engineering committee also has several subcommittees that everyone is open to join. We have airfield design, pavement, signage, and marking. We have electrical, and we have construction. And at each engineering committee meeting we have, the intent is for one subcommittee to have topics regarding that subcommittee. So like the last one we had was around construction specifications, for instance, which is under construction. And our next committee call will be September 29 between 1 and 2 p.m. So if you're not getting any emails from the engineering committee, please also feel free to reach out, send me an email, and then we'll add it to the email list. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we have the Planning and Environmental Committee. Gareth can't make it on today, so I will do a quick update with all of his information. So they had their last committee meeting on September 6th, the last week. The speaker was Arthur Orton with the FAA Technology and Operations Division Manager. They discussed the FAA's efforts to support the Aviation Climate Action Plan, which aims to reduce aviation greenhouse gas emissions. The Planning and Environmental Committee is also preparing comments for noise policy review with the Federal Register notice. And finally, members of the committee plan to meet with the FAA Planning Division in October to discuss upcoming changes to the FAA's runway length advisory circular. So similar to a lot of the other ACC committees, they're keeping very involved and very in touch with both ACC staff and FAA advocacy. Next, we have finance and project delivery. Do we have Heather? There, I see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a recap, we had 2 committee meetings since our last YP forum meeting. In our May meeting, we met at the Construction Strategy Summit and had a number of guest speakers talking about the bill grants and ways alternative project delivery can fit in with that. Also a great presentation by Pasley on staff augmentation and how we as consultants can really help support airport staff across the nation in a number of different ways. And also heard a great presentation on integrated project delivery, kind of making its way from Canada to the US. We also had a Zoom meeting in July discussing kind of design build in the aviation industry, as well as the FAA reauthorization bill update. Our next meeting is on September 19th, which is next Tuesday. We're going to be hearing about an update from the FAA and TIFIA loans. And we'd love to have you on that call next week. It's at 3:30 Eastern time, and it's via Zoom. So if you'd like to join that, please reach out to me and we can get you added to the list.
Thank you for the update. All right. Next, we have the terminals and facilities. Do we have our liaison on the call? Christopher. Not seeing him on, so I'll go ahead and give their update. So this is the Terminals and Facilities Committee. There is a passenger experience subcommittee, which is very active. So it looks like most of their updates are from the subcommittee. Laura and Carrie are getting more participants in the podcast. Podcast is called The Hold Room, in case you haven't listened to it yet. Definitely worth a listen if you're an avid podcast listener. They're also looking to increase YP involvement and have them join committees. I'm sure, if you've been able to attend any conferences recently, you've definitely been spoken to about joining committees, terminal and facilities being one of them. Let's see, they're focusing on YP attendance on future ACC events and definitely looking to work together with other subcommittees, YPs, and sharing ideas amongst the groups. So I think that is it for our terminals and facilities. The next committee call is TBD, but like I said, The Whole Room podcast is it's a great podcast that they do release regularly. Our very own Max Vale has worked on it, so definitely give it a listen. The security committee, do we have the YP liaison on, Brandon? Not seeing Brandon either. Okay, so I will give their update as well. So they held their Q2 meeting on June 22nd, where budget, disability working group, open architecture, cybersecurity, and UAS task force were all discussed. UAS task force specifically there was a meeting held June 7th to discuss the first FAA UAS aviation rulemaking committee meeting. Let's see, the PSNS conference planning, there's a twice monthly meeting to discuss topics and speakers for the October 24th through 26th conference. We will, definitely recap that at the end, that upcoming conference. They also are planning to hold an in-person meeting at the 2024 ACI Public Safety and Security Conference, or the ACC Security Conference. And their next, and so that's when they're planning to hold their next committee call is at the same time around this conference. So anybody who's planning to attend that in October, definitely reach out to myself, Brandon, or anybody with ACC, and we can make sure that you get connected either with the security committee or with the security committee prior to the conference. Advocacy committee, I believe Amanda was not able to make it on the call either. So the advocacy committee, the big update I have for them is that they're doing their Washington update on September 18th at 4 p.m. There was an email invite. It is live on the ACC website, or you can find an invite on LinkedIn. I know the advocacy committee group does have their own separate group page on LinkedIn where they're very active and keep lots of updates and keep the whole group informed. So if you are looking to get more information about the advocacy committee, they're very active group. Please reach out to me or Amanda or anybody else with ACC and we can get you connected. Let's see. So next we have the education committee. I believe Connor is on to give the update.
Yep, I'm on. Hi,
Great.
my name's Connor. I am the YP liaison to the Education and Accreditation Committee. We've had a pretty busy year within the committee. I was looking earlier and we've held a total of, I think, 10 virtual workshops and webinars. So we still have a few more for the rest of the year where you can see listed here that there's 2 virtual trainings remaining, the airfield striping 1-day virtual training and the law and ethics 1-day virtual training, as well as a de-icing and winter operations live webinar. So you should be receiving in regular communications from ACC advertising those. We are starting to look forward to our 2024 planning. We're always looking to add committee members for 2024. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to me. As a young professional, I wasn't sure, what kind of knowledge I would be able to share, but I helped with one of the virtual trainings earlier in the year. So there's room for everybody to help out, and the broader our knowledge base is, the more we're able to, increase the offerings that we provide to everybody. We're starting to look forward to 2024, like I had mentioned. I believe we're looking at about 2 webinars per month and 6 1-day virtual trainings. Not necessarily part of the education committee, but one thing to be aware of is that ACC is rolling out a new platform for their online and in-person virtual events. So you should have received an email about that, but you'll probably be receiving a couple more moving forward. So I think they're starting that transition. So as you're, signing up for webinars and virtual trainings, it should be being updated soon. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, and finally we have the annual conference. Let's see, Stephen, I believe you're also on.
Hello, how's it going?
Good.
So the 45th annual conference is going to happen November 1st to the 3rd in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we're actively finalizing the agenda. There's a couple more items that are being planned, such as the networking portions of the conference, as well as the community service event. The keynote speakers, you'll notice Kristen Scroggin, if you attended the symposium this year, she was also a keynote speaker there. She's been invited to the annual conference to expand on that discussion that she had at the symposium, focused on attracting and retaining talent, and forming a diverse workforce with a retention roadmap that she introduced during the symposium. And then our other keynote speaker is Jordy Aiken, and he'll focus on leadership as societal norms have changed today. We're also still seeking sponsorship. So if your company is interested in sponsoring an aspect of the conference, feel free to reach out to me. And I'll forward your contact to the staff person, to Kathleen, I think that's her name, who's in charge of the sponsorships. And it says the steering committee calls are the first Thursday of the month, and that was the case earlier in the year, and now they're happening on the first and third Thursday of the month. And then there's another shout out. If you have attended the annual conference in the past and had a really good experience you felt, and you want to share that with a 3 to 5 minute recording of of your experience, please please contact me. Yeah, thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, so for those of you who had not had the chance to attend the annual conference yet, it's typically a bit smaller than symposium, and a little more business of aviation focused. So it's a great conference to get a slightly different perspective than the more technical presentations that typically occur at symposiums. So hopefully some people on this call are interested and looking to attend. Also, Vancouver is a cool city, so, that's going to be a nice locale for the annual conference. All right, so we can move on from all of our committee updates. Thank you to all of you who gave your updates and were able to come on. Next, thank you. Here we go. Forgot about this slide. So you can use your QR code scanner on your phone and get committee info, or sign up to be on the mailing list for any of these committees if you don't already get their emails. Here's also the contact email for all of these YP liaisons. If you email any of them, if you're even a little bit interested or want more information, any one of them are very happy to share more information, get you on the email list, and help you out to get involved. So next I want to move on to the YP Innovation Competition. I'm going to invite Brad to present at least on the, kind of some of the basics of what the competition is going to be, expectations, and what the timeline is coming up. The innovation competition hasn't been held for a couple years now. Definitely a product of COVID restricting things, but we're happy to be bringing it back. And this is also the first year that the YP Forum is running the competition. Previously, it was run by the ACC Foundation. So we're really proud to be running the competition for our peers, for other young professionals, and helping them get connected, not just to each other, but to client and industry partners. Because the innovation competition is really meant to be an industry and partnership event and competition to have everybody thinking about new ideas, new partnerships, and what's next for the industry. So with that, I'd like to bring Brad, our outreach chair, forward to talk about the competition and the timeline and next steps for the competition.
Thanks, Abigail. So I just I'll give a brief overview of what exactly the innovation competition is. I know some of you on the phone may have heard my spiel before, but really what we're trying to do is just get YPs across the nation, across companies, all networking together and trying to just look for and create new innovative ideas of what could help progress the aviation industry as a whole. It could be anything from that relates specifically to airfield engineering to airport planning, architecture, really anything in between. Some ideas of things that have been submitted in the past have been installing mangrove, there's a wide range of what you can do. Some of them have been installing mangroves on coastal airports to help protect them from coastal erosion, to all the way to something where someone submitted an idea that is called Fly Pass, and it's basically for large events to have you have a certain ticket, like let's say you're going to the World Cup that's going to be held in the US here, and say you're going to one of the games in Kansas City, and there's going to be a lot of people flying into Kansas City going to the airport or going to the games. So there would be almost like a pre-check where you go fly right into the airport, and then there's like a helicopter transportation for you to get to the game, and it's all under certain security. So then after the game, you get back into the helicopter, and then you can go post security, post TSA at the airport. So all things that could be easily implemented to things that could be not so easily implemented. Those are kind of two examples of more further out ideas. But yeah, what we're looking for is just any sort of innovative ideas that can help progress the aviation industry as a whole. And the timeline that we're looking for here is the deadline to submit teams, or just the deadline, I guess we can say, to submit individuals who are interested in competing is the 15th of this month. So Friday, I believe it is. Yeah, Friday. So if I see some of you on the call that are already on the team or on teams, but a lot of you that are not. And so if you are interested in joining, but you just don't know who to reach out to, don't know anyone in the industry to make a team, whatever that could be, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my information in the chat window there once I'm done speaking. But the timeline that we're looking for basically is to have teams or individuals submitted by the 15th. And now this is not an abstract or an idea or anything. It's just a group of people who want to go in together on the competition as a whole. And then from there, initial abstracts will be due on November 15th. We tried to work a lot of these deadlines, one around holidays and then two around early deadlines for the registration for the symposium in March. But the initial abstracts are going to be due November 15th of this year by 5 p.m. And the initial abstract isn't anything too rigorous. It's basically just a one-page write-up presenting who's on your team, what the idea is, a brief, very brief overview of what it could be, and that's it. And there's there's formal guidelines for it on the website as well that are, I can send a link in the chat window as well. But then from there, after the initial abstracts are due on the 15th, teams have until January 12th to complete and submit their proposals. And the final proposals are a lot of what a lot of us on the call as consultants put together for a proposal trying to win over a new client, right? So that's kind of what the modified version of that is. You can see on the page that's actually on the screen, that's actually incorrect. They're not going to be videos anymore. It is just it's a maximum of 10 pages of what your idea is. And that 10 pages, it doesn't include like a cover sheet, doesn't include your team chart, whatever it could be. So the final proposals are due on the 12th of January, and then those are going to be reviewed by a panel of judges, and there's going to be a maximum of 4 teams that are selected, and those judges are just going to be from industry professionals, most likely folks that are very involved in ACC overall, and those 4 teams will then be invited to Construction Symposium, the Planning, Design, and Construction Symposium in Salt Lake City, March 5th to the 7th in 2024. And those teams will then present their actual ideas in PowerPoint presentation, videos, whatever that might be. And they'll present it to that panel of judges. And then the first place and second place teams will then be presented at the awards luncheon for symposium. So long story short, this innovation competition is a really great way for you to network across the industry with people maybe you know, people maybe you don't know. It's a great way to do personal marketing for yourself. If you do end up winning, being presented at symposium, where I think last year there was 1,800 people there, just being presented there would be, it's a pretty big deal. And it's good to get your name out there, good to get your company out there, and it's just a really good experience overall. And step one kind of you taking advantage of your own career, how you want it to be, and getting involved with ACC. And then maybe you see, okay, yeah, I do like doing this stuff, and you want to get more involved with ACC. I know after I decided to get involved more, I started enjoying my career more, which has been nice. I kind of saw it for what it's more than just pumping out projects, doing projects, whatever that is. And so it's more of networking and relational and how that can be and how that fits into it. So like I mentioned, the first and second place people will be presented at the awards luncheon, and there's actually going to be awards. So for the first place winners, there's going to be $250 cash prize to each winner. There's going to be free registration to the 2025 symposium, which is a pretty big deal, considering it's pretty big to be selected in most companies to go to symposium overall. You'll have the opportunity to present your presentation at the 2025 symposium to everyone as part of the in the banquet hall as part of an exhibitor. And you'll be featured in the news weekly, in the ACC weekly news feed. And then additionally, there's going to be just like a little trophy kind of thing. It's not a participation trophy. It's cool. Trust me, it'll be cool. And then second place winners all get a $200 cash prize, and then they get free registration as well to the 2025 symposium. So that's a quick overview of everything that it is. If you have questions on it, please reach out to me and let me know. I'll send the link in the chat, like I've mentioned, that details out exactly the whole project timeline, how how proposals and presentations will be scored, and everything. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, so I mean, anybody who's interested in going to symposium at the very least and is not sure how to ask their supervisor or their company about how to go, now if you are selected to present your project at symposium, there's your opportunity to tell your company that now you need to go to participate in the competition, raise not only your personal profile, but your company profile. And if you win, then you also get to come back for a symposium a second time the following year in 2025. So if that's not a good enough reason to participate, I don't know what is. Maybe the trophy. We're all in it for the little trophy. But yeah, so I really just want to emphasize that September 15th at the end of this week, we just want to know if you're interested, if you have a team, or if you're an individual who would like to be assigned a team, and you want to participate in the innovation competition. The next deadline is not until November, and that's the one-page abstract, and then the final deadline is in January for the final proposal. So it's really, hopefully this is not too big of a time ask for people. It's really enriching for, your career and your personal life beyond just your day-to-day job. And so we really are wanting people to, think big about innovative ideas that they have, or maybe that they're already working on and they want to submit. It doesn't have to be something that is happening right now as an innovative idea. This can be from your own head, a good idea that you think the industry needs to hear about. We want to hear all of it.
Yeah, and with that said, I just want to say there's already, I think, 40 people that are submitted. So there's just over 10 or 11 teams. Not all of them have exactly 4 people. But yeah, it's going to be awesome to see all the ideas that come in. I'm excited.
Yeah. There's been a lot of emails that have gone out already about it. There's plenty of information online on the ACC website. Of course, you can reach out to myself, Grace, Brad, or anybody else on leadership. And we'll be happy to answer your question or direct you to a place to have your question answered. So we're really excited this year to be hosting it for the first time. And, we're excited to see the big ideas that people are going to bring forth. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker, Nick McLuth, with CNS Companies. He is also the ACC YP Forum past chair. So he's very familiar with the YP Forum and all the cool stuff that the YP Forum can do. Nick also participated in a couple innovation competitions in years past. So we've invited him here today to speak about his past experience. But before I invite him on, I just want to give a little bit of an overview of his biography. He is a project engineer with CNS with over 10 years of airfield design, project management, and construction management experience. He has supported projects and airports of varying sizes, types, and complexities. He is currently located in CNS's Michigan office, and prior to that, worked in the Arizona office for 8 years. He received his Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Syracuse. And as I mentioned, is the past chair of the YP group. So with that, I would like to welcome Nick
Awesome. Thanks, Abigail. And thanks to the team for inviting me to present. I definitely miss, being the chair of the YP forum and getting to, chat with everybody more frequently. So you guys didn't totally get rid of me just yet. So, as Abigail mentioned, I did compete in the innovation competition. I think the first one I competed in was probably back in 2015, and it was a recommendation from one of my supervisors to compete. At that point, I wasn't really involved with the ACC much at all, so I didn't really know a whole lot about the ACC. I didn't know a whole lot about the YP forum, but I got involved. I reached out to a few other YPs in the industry that I had met through other sources and other individuals, and put a team together. And we brainstormed an innovative idea that we came up with a few ideas, and we kind of had to whittle it down to one, and agreed on a plan or a topic. And it was a really challenging effort because everybody, and especially as a YP, what you have on your plate on a day-to-day basis is so much, and you're trying to pack it all in. And so you're working with other YPs that are all in the same boat, and you're also trying to coordinate at different, sometimes across different time zones, and you're developing this innovative idea and this presentation or proposal. So it's a big effort, and it does have its challenges, and it does have a time commitment associated with it. So just being aware of that when you sign up will help, because you can plan accordingly. But it's well worth the time spent. You get to work with individuals that are usually with different firms or with an airport, and with various experience and various expertise in different components of whatever it is that they do. And so you're really getting a feel for how to work as a group, and you're working with professionals in the industry that can really teach you how to be better at whatever it is, whether it's presenting or developing ideas or putting together proposals. And then, not to mention like Abigail, brought up and made a point of, is the symposium is a really big event, and it's a really great opportunity to get out there and meet, some of the most professional, experts in our industry. And it is tough. It's a tough sell, sometimes to get your company or your employer to send you as a YP. But if you're selected through the innovation competition and you get free registration to go, that's a really big deal and a big opportunity. Not only because you get to present, but just experiencing the symposium is a big thing. And then having the opportunity to go again free of charge the following year is that much better. But I think you get, by competing in the innovation competition, you get the opportunity to get creative. I for one have found that coming into the workforce and starting my career as an engineer, you kind of think you're gonna get to be creative with things and design things and kind of think outside the box. But as we're all aware, there's pretty strict guidelines on what we have to design to, and the requirements that need to be met when you're doing whatever type of design you're doing. But this was a really cool opportunity to think outside the box. Honestly, the more far-fetched idea, the bigger the idea that you can come up with, the better. Because the judges really just want to see that you're really thinking outside of the box and pursuing an idea that is kind of maybe unheard of or unexplored, or maybe just getting in the process of being looked into. So really when you sit down as a team and develop your ideas for your proposal, don't hold back on ideas that you have. Put them out there, express them to your team, talk through them, talk through the details of what would be included in that, and trust that the judges would be excited for some of the bigger, more wild ideas that you guys develop. And really, like I said, I learned so much from the teams that I was a part of. I competed, I think, 3 times, and then also there was a shortened version that ACC put on at one of the symposiums. So I was part of 4 different teams really, and each team I got to meet phenomenal people that taught me a lot of great things, both professionally and in just life. And having those connections now forever, and I still talk to a lot of the people that I was on teams with. I see them obviously at symposium and other ACC events, or just out at an airport or at a conference not even related to the ACC. The aviation industry is a niche, small group, and so you want to build those connections as early as possible. So with that, if you have any questions, happy to answer. But I really think this is a great opportunity for anybody, even if you're on the fence about it. Once you dive in, it's really exciting, and it's a fun challenge to kind of immerse yourself in.
Great. Thanks for sharing, Nick. Can you share the one innovative idea that you guys came up with that was your favorite out of all the years you participated?
Yeah, so it was actually the idea that was developed at the symposium when they did the shortened innovation competition. So we really only had like 2 or 3 days to come up with that, get together as a team, come up with an idea, and then develop your proposal or your pitch for your idea. And so on my team, I had a lot of creative folks, and way beyond what I could have thought of as far as how we were going to pitch the idea. But it was what we did was we decided to create a company name, basically, and create a company called Bag Be Gone. And basically it's you have all your luggage, and you would call ahead, they would pick it up from your house, they would bring it to the airport, they would shuttle it onto the plane, and you wouldn't have to touch your bag, even if it's a carry-on. They take everything for you, you don't have to worry about it. And so the idea itself was kind of not that wild, but we created a video for it at the symposium in the couple days that we had. And a gentleman named Tom, he's an architect, he was on my team, and he was the mastermind behind editing the video. He did a voiceover for the video, and we had a few folks that are senior in the ACC and in the industry. They had some cameos in the video as well. So it was just like a really fun experience to do that. And then after the symposium, our team was selected as the winning team for that idea. And so after the symposium, we kept the band together, and we took a deeper dive into that idea and pitched that as our full innovation competition submittal. And we weren't selected the second time around, but I still think that was an awesome idea, and mostly just the team experience with that, I think, was probably what stood out to me most too, is why I think that was one of the better ones.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And I know, even talking with you over the years, quite often it'll come up that like, oh, you should talk to this person. I did the innovation competition with them. So I know certainly that those relationships that you've developed through the innovation competition have stood the test of time. So we hope for everybody else who wants to participate that they will get the same experience as well, that they'll develop these relationships that will last beyond symposium and beyond the innovation competition. So just really quick, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions for Nick about his experience. Feel free to bring yourself off mute or drop it in the chat if you have any. All right, and I think my question for you is, are you done with the innovation competitions? Are you going to give everybody else a chance now to win the competition?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to hang up the gloves or the cleats, whatever you want to refer to. But I'm, you get to a point where you really take out of it as much as you can, and I think to me, the innovation idea and the project itself is great, but it's the relationships and the connections you make. And so, after going through it 3 or 4 times, I've really, I think people are probably exhausted of dealing with me. So at this point, I'm just, I'm just happy to be here in this capacity and, using my experience with the innovation competition and the relationships I built to then continue my my journey with the ACC and continuing to do whatever I can to support the ACC and be involved as opportunities come up. So
Sure. And now at this point, since you have gotten all that you could out of it, these relationships have turned now into business partnerships, personal friendships, clients, all of the above.
Yeah, and the ACC just in general is phenomenal for that reason. And so hopefully anybody that's listening that isn't sure about doing the innovation competition, really couldn't recommend it more. And it's really a great gateway to just dive into the ACC and start your journey with the ACC, because there's a lot to gain by being involved.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, I didn't see any other questions come in for Nick. So thank you so much for sharing your experience over the couple innovation competitions you were able to participate in. Great hearing about it. Also, let me know when you're able to make that luggage idea come to fruition, because I want that.
I'd have to talk to the team. I wouldn't be able to take full credit for that. So I'd have to get the band back together to get full support, but I'll let you know.
Sure, thanks. Okay, so I think that wraps it up for talking about the innovation competition on this quarterly call. To wrap up the call, I think we just want to go over a couple things regarding the YP forum. So we have a YP meetup coming up September 26th in Seattle. This was just announced and scheduled, so an email should be going out soon about it. This event will be sponsored by Gensler, so hopefully all of you up in the Pacific Northwest Seattle area can go by Gensler's office and participate in the meetup coming up. So the meetups are back up and running. We had a small hiatus on the program, but we are back. So you can find more information if you're interested in hosting a regional meetup in your area. You can find more information on the ACC website about RSVPing for this meetup, as well as hosting your own if you're interested. As we mentioned, I think we've really hammered it home now, the innovation competition deadline for either your team or yourself as an individual to be placed on a team. Deadline is this Friday, September 15th. Please email Grace and Brad if you are interested in participating in the competition, a meetup, or anything else, YP forum or committee or general ACC, related participation and questions. Upcoming YP specific webinars. Max and Blanca have put together an Airports from the Vendor Perspective webinar on November 14th. This is going to be a really unique webinar. We do have Blanca on the leadership this year, who works for an airport vendor. So she was able to pull together a lot of other vendors who I know we don't always get to hear from as much as we probably would like. So for all of you on the call who want to learn more about what that vendor perspective is like and seeing what that side of the industry that you may not know that much about, please sign up and join the webinar on November 14th. And our next YP Forum quarterly call is not scheduled yet, but we usually tend to try to schedule it around the annual conference coming up in November. So more details will be shared on that when we schedule it. Other upcoming ACC events. The Security and Technology Conference, I think we mentioned when we went through the Security Committee updates, that is being held October 23rd through the 26th in Arlington. The ACC Annual Conference, which Stephen gave us a lot of great updates about, that is being held November 1st through the 3rd in Vancouver. And finally, the big symposium that we've been talking about as it relates to the innovation competition is being held March 5th through the 7th in Salt Lake City, Utah. So get in all of your requests to participate, join a team or form a team for the innovation competition. So you get a chance to attend the symposium. And if selected, you can present your innovative idea with your group. Otherwise, I mean, I hope to see everybody at the annual conference and symposium coming up. They are great events to attend if able. I know sometimes it can be hard for young professionals to ask their managers or their employers to sponsor their attendance. Feel free to reach out to anybody in ACC if you're wanting some support or some advice on being able to attend some of these conferences. Any of us are happy to help advocate or give just general advice if you're wanting it. So with that, I'm bringing our Q3 call to a close just a couple minutes early. Thank you everybody for calling in, hearing our updates about the competition. I hope to see a lot more of these names on the list for the innovation competition after today's call. Thank you everybody.